I read 9.5 books in August, but 6 of those were the Narnia books, which I talked about in a previous video, which I highly recommend you watch. I'll link it down below. And yeah, so I'm halfway through a book as well, but I'm definitely going to finish it in the next couple of days, and I'm filming this early, so you're just going to have to deal with it. So, as always, consider subscribing. After I finished the Narnia books, I read The Bands of Mourning by Brandon Sanderson, which is the third and currently the last book in the Wax and Wane spin-off future Mistborn series. There is a fourth book planned, but it's not coming until 2021. So as of right now, this is the last book. I'm gonna avoid spoilers as always. So the thing I liked best about the book was that Steris finally got some character development. My main complaint about this series has been after Mistborn has such a strong female protagonist, this one's just not any. Apart from Marazi. So in this one, her sister gets to take part in the adventure, and she actually worked out to be really cool. I really liked her character. I was really disappointed with the second book in this series, but this third book just got me completely invested again. I was quite disappointed. No, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Oh yeah, so the pacing was great, and there was not any dull moments at all. The only complaint I had, that's what I was trying to say, the only complaint I had was at some point, the gang, there was so many people in the gang that Sanderson basically forgot about them, and they would disappear for 4 pages at a time, and then he would give them one line of dialogue, and you'd be like, oh yeah, Milan's there, I just completely forgot about her. So that's my only real complaint, but he kind of fixed this big final action scene at the end. Everyone was involved, so yeah, that was good. Next, I read Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess, I think that's how you say it, and I didn't realise until I started reading it that this book is written in half English, half Russian, made up fictional language, which is kind of off-putting at first, but you do get used to it. It does, however, take you out of the book a little bit, because you're having to constantly really think about what you're reading rather than just reading. So I don't know, it was kind of fun, but I don't know. So the story is about Alex, who along with his friends, basically just for fun, robs people, sets shops on fire, rapes people, murders people at some points, and eventually he's caught and taken to prison, and then he's taken part as an experiment to cure his violent behaviour. I'm really struggling to think about this book, so which is my main complaint is just I've really not thought about it since I read it. I did enjoy it, but the language just made it so hard to connect with the story, and I was really glad to get over with. So it's I enjoyed it, but I just didn't want to read any more of it. I think it's 200 pages, and that was enough. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen has been on my TBR since January, and I finally got around to reading it this month. It follows Elizabeth Bennet and her sisters, whose entire lives basically focus around trying to get married to a wealthy man. Their father's estate is entailed, which means it can only pass on to a male heir, and there isn't any, and then their mum doesn't have a fortune, so their entire life is just get married, get rich, pretty much. I was quite disappointed in this book, to be honest, because it's just so hyped up. This is I think Jane Austen's most famous book, and it's just one of those classics that everyone knows, even people that don't really know Pride and Prejudice. And I understood the satire, and some of it was interesting, but it just was tiring to read about the same things over and over again, these relationships and stuff like that. There was a subplot about a sister running away, which was kind of interesting, and then there was secrets that came out, which were kind of fun, but overall I didn't find myself ever wanting to just pick this book back up. It was kind of a chore to get through, which kind of sucks, because I don't know, I do want to try more Jane Austen, but this book is just I don't know, I don't love it. Finally, I am currently reading The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold, and I thought this was a thriller about who murdered the narrator Susie, but it actually turns out to be more of a character study about how her friends and family struggle to overcome her death and come to terms with it. And she's watching them from heaven and narrating what they're going through and her thoughts on it and stuff like that, and it actually is really interesting. I think it's really accurate, and I think it's quite a realistic portrait of grieving and getting through death. I really also like the book's Heaven, which Susie is in, which she kind of summons things with her mind, and you know other people's heavens like are similar, like they interconnect, and she can meet people who have also died and stuff. It's really interesting. I'm only halfway through it, but like I said, I'm really enjoying it so far, and I look forward to finishing it. So this was really short, but I don't want to talk about the Narnia books again. I did enjoy them all for the most part, but like I said, if you want to know my thoughts on them all individually, I've got a whole video about it, which will be down there. Thanks for watching. I'm still getting used to like filming here, so I feel like I'm talking really quiet. That's just because like the walls are so thin, and I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you're reading. If you've read any of these, you know, I love talking about that. Especially Pride and Prejudice. I want to know other people's thoughts on Pride and Prejudice, because obviously so many people love it, and I just couldn't get into it really. The sun's going behind the cloud. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you later.